am live. What's up, guys? It's Goose from the Wise Wealth Discord. Just doing another Sunday watch list for you guys. Just going to go over pretty quickly what I'm starting to see in the market. It's a pretty volatile week last week. We had some ups and downs per usual, but I didn't think it was too bad. I think I lost about, I don't know, 800 bucks last week. So I was not positive last week, but it's all good. We got another week with more high probability setups. We'll just have to wait and see. I'm going to start off with the SPY per usual, the S&P 500. It's a broad-based index for the U.S. stock market. It's always a good one to watch. Some things that I did see that were slightly concerning was the break of this ultimate uptrend that it had going right here. It was creating higher highs, higher lows, but it did not create a higher high here. Got denied from this. It looks like it's trying to form a downtrend. This is the daily. Got denied there, and then it broke down here. I just put this horizontal ray right here because when we were trying to plot that head and shoulders, this was the resistance that it had. And now maybe it could find a support and then possibly a double bottom right here, 1, 2 touch. So we'll just have to wait and see if Monday and Tuesday do bring up the SPY. I currently do have calls. I think they're on the Qs though, or it's I believe AMD actually. But we'll just have to see if they turn this into support. If they do lose this, then it very well could come back down into range, which would be about the 433 area. Just have to wait and see. It was a pretty volatile week, as you can see. It started off as Jimmy and I were preaching that it probably would go up, and it did. It was bouncing off this trend line. It filled this gap, so that gap's finally filled, and it got denied off of this point. As you can see, we got 1 touch, 2 touch, and 3 touches. What I didn't like to see as far as being bullish on the market is this trend line that it had. It was holding it, but it broke down. So we'll just have to wait and see. There was resistance here: 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch, 4 touch, and then it broke above. So it's like we're trying to see if this can build a support because it previously was resistance. So if it can hold this and then go up and test it again, I think that would be pretty nice. We have a Federal Reserve interest rate decision coming Wednesday, I believe. So that could affect the market. Sometimes they like to run it up before it, and then it's a sell the news event. Just have to wait and see. But the technicals don't look too bad to find a decent support right here if it can, because it was previous resistance. So maybe they'll start making a range right around here. Just have to wait and see. QQQ, kind of the same thing. I seen it coiling up for a little while, and then it just broke down on Friday. But there's still a support here based off what was previous resistance. Now it's trying to build a support right around here. If it could keep this, it could be a double bottom. You had 1 rejection, 2 rejections, 3 rejections, 4, and then it built a support here. So we'll just have to wait and see if it does hold this. Monday and Tuesday could run up into the Federal Reserve interest rate decision. That's just kind of my opinion. I could see it kind of running up, and Friday being kind of a head fake because quad witching, there's a lot of options expiring on Friday, so it could have led to a little bit more exaggerated of a move than what the market actually is feeling right now. It's hard to tell. I still think it looks like some bullish setups. The one bearish thing is these breaking down right here, but if it could build a support around the 370 for Qs and then 444, 443 area for SPY, then this could be the new support, and then it could go, try and make that higher high. Just have to wait and see. The futures are open. Pretty simple chart, just kind of the same thing as it broke this. It made a higher high, higher low, higher high. Right now it's still a higher low, so I don't think it's too much of a concern unless it starts breaking down. So I don't know. I'm still leaning bullish. I still think it looks pretty good. Higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. So it's like, is it gonna go create that higher high? We'll just have to wait and see. Some of the um, I mean, this isn't a stock. This is the U.S. dollar. That's always important to watch. Starting to get really overextended, and that's typically it's inverse to the U.S. stock. So if it's going up, the SPY and tech will be coming down. Typically, there's some days where the dollar is up quite a bit, but stocks will continue to go up. It's not guaranteed, but it's probably about an 80% chance if it's going up. Stocks are coming down. It did have a big breakout on this big descending channel that it had. But as you can see, I mean, the weekly, it still has a little room to run on the RSI, but that many green weeks in a row, it just seems, unfathomable that it will continue to go up. You just never know. The dollar, it's broken through some pretty big resistances. This downtrend was going on for close to a year since, 2022. It was in a downtrend channel. Now that it's breaking out, it's a pretty big break, but it's just such a upward momentum that it's like I could see this, possibly starting to break down. We just have to wait and see. That's a dollar. I don't really do Bitcoin too often. I know I plotted this and then kind of, made the call out on the break and the downside. Hasn't really had much movement lately. I don't really trade Bitcoin or Ethereum very much, but it's always something cool to watch, I suppose. No real thoughts on that. We got Apple. Apple had a pretty tough week. They had some news come out of France where they were supposedly had too high of radiation, so they were doing recalls on some of their phones. That there was really high radiation levels in their phones. They didn't like that. They were recalling it. It's still trying to base and find a support around 174.50, somewhere where that green line is. Hasn't broken. It broke down for a little bit, but then was bought up very quickly. This is the 4 hour, but the 15-minute, I believe, has a falling wedge kind of forming a little bit. So you got this wedge right here, and then the top part of the wedge right here. So if it could break out of this and find support here, that would be a pretty bullish thing for Apple. This purple box was the consolidation that it had, but it looks like it's trying to find a support here at 174.56, but it could continue to get denied, and then if it does lose that, it could definitely continue to go down, probably to this point right here, 170 area, 171.90, somewhere around there. So we'll see. I do think some of the stocks are kind of at good support levels to where dip buyers would come in for Monday and Tuesday, but you just never know because Friday was a pretty big sell-off. But Apple, it's looking decent. You want to see it break out or break below if you are going to get in on any positions there. Microsoft came down quite a bit. They did have this trend going. Right here is the ultimate trend, but if you look at more shorter time frames, they had this that was breaking below. So they had a short-term uptrend going on where it's higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. But now, that's a lower low. It broke this previous low that it had, so that's kind of a thing in the other direction. But kind of the same thing with Apple is it has another falling wedge forming right here. So you just want to keep an eye on this. If it does break out, that could be a pretty bullish thing to at least get back up to this and maybe build might be a resistance here, but some of these falling wedges, those are some of my favorite plays to play, so I'll definitely keep an eye on that with Microsoft and Apple. They both kind of have these falling wedges forming here. NVIDIA, they had a pretty tough week. They were down quite a bit this whole week. They started feeling this gap, this purple gap that I had. So hopefully, I'm just going to get rid of it just to see what we got going here. 15-minute, nothing crazy. It does look kind of rounded up top. I like that rounded thing. Curve. Right here looks a little rounded, which is usually a sign that it could be starting to come down a little bit. That's the 15-minute though. If you're looking for more trends, I think the 4 hour looks a little healthier. And they're still creating higher highs and higher lows, as you can see from this point. It's a little wonky actually. I don't really like that line. Let me try doing this. Yeah, it's a little better. So yeah, it's like it's still kind of trending up in the upward directions. You got higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher low. That's not technically a higher low right there. We did go and create a new higher high, so I don't know. Nvidia's been kind of wonky lately. If I do trade them, it's pretty quick, short-term stuff. But I could see it start to build a little bit of support here with the RSI being sold off, and then this trend line hopefully holding. Fell below for a second, but it got bought up pretty quickly on this point. So it's just still inching up. Nothing too crazy. The selling was kind of drastic from the top, I suppose. So I think it was at like 520 area. Yeah, this is after the earnings release. So it's seen about a 13% haircut, which isn't too bad for NVIDIA for how much they're up. They're still up 200% for the year. So I know there's a lot of short sellers that continue to try and short them, but until this ultimate trend right here, this line is broken and retested, I wouldn't get any shorts on NVIDIA, but that's just me personally. I'll definitely keep an eye out on that one. Tesla, they had a pretty volatile week. Last week on Sunday, I was calling this out looking like a pretty bullish formation. As you can see, the news broke it above, and it's just been kind of basing from there. Let me go to the 15-minute, show you guys. There's just a decent little bullish flag that it's forming right here. So until this breaks out, could maybe bring it up a little bit, give it a little space to breathe. So this breaks out up or down. I'm not getting in any calls or puts for it. It's the same thing with this, as it was consolidating, broke up above, and it just started flying. Now we just need to wait. It's going sideways, up, down, or sideways in the market. Now I need to either choose the direction up or down. If it does go up, the next level of resistance would be about 286, 290 area, somewhere around there. Because let me back it up to the 4 hour to show you guys. So it's been denied once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. So it's trying to work its way up. And if this does break, I could see the gap trying to fill right around here, trying to find a support around 245, 250 area on Tesla. Meta, they're still doing this thing, man. I remember last week I said how I got smoked because I kept trying to short it, but it's just riding this wave and it's not getting quite, they're not letting it back in there, but this was a huge trend line that it had broken previously, and now it looks like it's a huge resistance. But until this is broken, this needs to break down right here, which technically it kind of has, but you could consider this wick right here a support as well. And then you have the resistance above. I don't really want to draw a second line. Oh, so until broken above or below, I'm not getting in anything. It's still kind of, it's not necessarily sideways, it is up, but it's still just a consolidation phase. You're not going to get much of a move. It is a bearish engulfing, so that's something to watch. Bearish engulfing right around the trend line. That's resistance, so that's pretty big. You just have to wait and see, as I always say. Just wait and see. Gotta be patient in this game. Sometimes it's sideways, sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down. You just don't want to get, too over concentrated in one play. If it is going sideways, you want to wait for these breaks like Google. They had this break on the daily, and now it's kind of basing right here. There's just a lot of sideways action that kind of formed last week. Is like you could find some stocks that are moving every week, but you like to wait and see if these things do break out the upside or the downside before you get in on some of these plays. That's the 4 hour. I still think it looks pretty bullish to me. I mean, it just seems like a good little base that it has forming just to reset the RSI. So wait and see, wait for the break. I think it looks really clean, just like this play that Jimmy had called out. Very clean plays. It looks like it could have broken back in and then found resistance here possibly, but the next support would be about 135. That would be an area I would be looking to buy calls if it shows that it comes back down there. Amazon, they had good news, but it was kind of a sell the news event. It looked like they had, I think it was J.P. Morgan that raised the price target on them. I don't know exactly what the price was that they raised it to, but it was trying to break above this resistance line that I have formed, and it just couldn't quite get there. So right now it's kind of starting to form a double top a little bit. Plot it out a little bit for you guys. Just something slight. It's nothing too crazy, but possible double top. I don't think it's going to really sell off drastically, but next support would be about 140, 139 area. If that's broken, then this ultimate trend would be broken. It'd be the same thing with metas, when it's going straight up. It could potentially lose this and then see you later. But their RSI reset pretty heavy off of that sell off on Friday. So a lot of the RSIs seem like they were reset off just such a big boom from the bullish phase that they had, which I still don't think there's any reason to get super bearish right now. But a lot of people, are screaming that they deserve more when it came to the correction that happened. So I don't know. UPS, that second line that I had plotted out, this blue line, it's started to find a support there. One thing that a catalyst for them is FedEx. They could possibly get a sympathy play. I know FedEx has earnings coming up this week. I want to say it's later in the week, like a Wednesday or Thursday, so that could potentially be a play if you were interested. I think that's a good support, good area for bulls to start accumulating is 157, 154 area. Next level of resistance would be 168 if you are buying calls. Look at like the 165s. Um, what do I want to look at? DraftKings. I usually show you guys DraftKings. Pretty good one. It did break out of this wedge that I had plotted out. As you can see, it went up a decent amount. Same thing with there's a rising wedge, then you had a falling wedge, and it broke out of it. Ended up coming back, retesting it with this candle, and then boom, it went up for a higher high. So interesting. It looks like it had a lower low here, lower low, lower high, lower. Maybe not a lower low there, but we'll have to wait and see because it's still kind of forming. 15-minute, I mean, it could be forming a bullish pennant here. That looks kind of decent. It's only the 15 minutes, so it's not going to be a huge pop if it is, but something to watch, something to keep an eye on, just some levels to watch. They have the support at 30.68, resistance around 31.58, broken above, calls, broken below puts. It's just how the game plays. Netflix, whoo, they tried. I had the resistance here. I'm sad that I didn't get in on this play, but had the resistance around 447 and they started breaking above, lost it, retested it, and just completely smoked. They got smoked. Their 15-minute got really oversold there for a second. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But there's a pretty big move because there's a huge consolidation here too that it's broken below now. So next support would be about 385, and then I would be looking at calls right about there because the ultimate trend still isn't broken. So it's like bears like to pounce on it, consider victory, but 9 times out of 10, stocks are just going to continue to go up, unless like a black swan event happens or something. There is a gap below here to be filled, so I could definitely see it coming back down to the 382, 385 area. And then that would be where I would probably re-enter calls. As you can see, though, the RSI 4 hours pretty oversold. So there's some things it has to work through, but with it being oversold and getting close to the ultimate trend line, that could be more calls. Like I said, Monday and Tuesday, I'm kind of leaning bullish, just leading up to the Federal Reserve interest rate decision. So that'll be a big thing. Shopify, they're coming down to fill that gap. They do kind of have a bullish flag forming right now. So I know like the pole isn't there, but this would be the pole right here, and then the bullish flag. So just wait and see if it breaks out above. Next resistance would be 70.40. There is a gap below too, so if it does come down, the support would be about 60. And I would be looking at calls there potentially. I have AMD down here that I've been watching. This is the one that I'm thinking about calls in. They have a decent um, wedge going down here and a cup and handle on the overall trend. Until broken above, you want to wait and see if it breaks above to get calls. Broken below, you could potentially be a huge short. I'm thinking they look really good, considering that ARM just came out a chip maker that Jimmy's been preaching. He made a decent amount of money on buying common shares. I don't know exactly where he bought and sold, but I do know he made a decent amount. But there's not much of a chart there. He did say some levels in the Discord about what exactly he was looking at. Um, arm running harder to close. Lower flow. Biggest IPO. Arm it takes out highs on 70.50 and go higher. So yeah, he was saying about 70.50. Didn't quite get up there as you could see. So I'm assuming that's why he sold, is because he didn't see that break and started seeing some resistance. But nothing too crazy. I will pull up the economic data for this week. I know we have the Federal Reserve um, interest rate decision coming Wednesday. Home builder confidence Monday. Housing starts building permits Tuesday. So this will be the big one. Wednesday is a huge catalyst, and you have the Federal Reserve Chair Powell. Jerome Powell is the big man on campus when it comes to the Federal Reserve. So what he says, brings a lot of volatility to the markets. That's why Wednesday I think will be a big day. Then you have following it up Thursday, initial jobless claims. You have Philadelphia Fed manufacturing deficit, U.S. deficit, existing home sales. Then a lot of Fed speakers. Friday, you got this girl, Lisa Cook, uh, Fed President Mary Daly, Minneapolis Fed President Neil Kashkari, Kashkari, I don't know, and then PMI. So, yeah, once Monday and Tuesday should be, I would assume, low volume, just melt ups, but that's just my opinion. And then Wednesday could be the dump potentially. I don't know. I'm just talking out loud, giving you guys some of my analysis on what I expect to happen this week. But hopefully, it's a great week, and you guys had a great weekend. Look forward to